All right, everyone, this is NorvellCentral coming back at you with another YouTube video. And I thought this would be an interesting idea to talk about the NFL games that are on and kind of who from Florida State's roster this upcoming season that has some draft eligibility. Who do I think would have the most potential in terms of making it to the NFL and being successful? Now, we've seen guys like Dalvin Cook, Derwin James, Asante Samuel. There's a lot of guys out there in the NFL that are really blossoming as an FSU Seminole. And you got to think, when you're looking at this roster this past season, 9-3 season in the regular season, then they had the bowl win with 10-3 finishing out the year. They have a lot of pieces that can be successful. Let's go ahead and start off with the quarterback position. Jordan Travis comes back for his senior season, and he's trying to continue to improve as a passer going forward. Now, I think the biggest thing with him is durability. Can he be able to be durable throughout an NFL season? And can an NFL franchise rely on him in terms of being successful? Now, granted, that may take a part of him not being able to scramble as much, being able to protect his body. I think it'd be something, even as a Bryce Young, with his being as small as he is, you think, can he be able to kind of influence that to not scramble as much and keep his body healthy throughout the season? Something to be told about Jordan Travis as well. But if he pulls up another season where in his senior year he actually doesn't have any injuries or anything like that and stays relatively healthy, that would be massive for his draft stock going forward in an NFL class that, you don't really know what's going to happen at the quarterback position next year. So we'll see how that goes. Trey Benson, another guy coming off an injury. He had a very, very productive season for Florida State, 990 yards. This is a guy that Florida State really, really liked. At the end of the season, he really blossomed. Some of the key pivotal games that he really didn't flash in certain games. Now, there were some games that he kind of disappeared in. That was part two. Trayshawn Ward, that is now over there at Kansas State. He actually had a part in that as well. Lawrence Toafili also had a big key, and Jordan Travis was running a little bit more later in the season. But can Trey Benson take that full workload and turn that into something special? And he'll be, 3 years removed from his injury at that point because he suffered it back in 2020. That'll be something to kind of look at as well for him, being that redshirt junior at that point next season. Go over to Johnny Wilson, same situation. Can he be consistent? He had some hamstring injuries over there at Arizona State. Some teams kind of passed over him. We'll see how that kind of goes with that. But a big, lanky 6'7" receiver at this point, has a decent, catch radius as well. Got to work a little bit more on his hands. There were some pivotal drops that he had, but I think there could be some potential there. Micah Pittman is another guy, very tenacious blocker, does really well in the slot, does well in the return game. There's always a need for special teams, especially in the league that kind of predicates itself on special teams, and you can make your most out of your opportunity for that. So I think that could be something there that you can kind of rely on for that. As in terms of some offensive linemen, I definitely think Robert Scott could be a guy that you can really turn to in the tackle position. Will he be more of a guard? That's kind of the question that a lot of people are kind of asking about with that. And we'll kind of see how everything goes with that. And then you also talk about Jeremiah Byers, the transfer. I think that could be a really big factor for Florida State as well because, coming out of UTEP, offensive tackle transfer, we don't know if he's going to be a guard or anything like that this upcoming season, but I think he's a guy that you really, really like just in terms of skill set and his size with everything that he brings to the table. I think can really be something special. Roddick from Colorado can be also another piece as well. We're kind of figuring out where he's going to be either guard or tackle. That could be somebody that they really like in terms of that. Also, with some other transfers that I forgot to mention as well, Jaheim Bell. I want to see more production out of him in terms of his stats, his speed, his agility as well, and kind of seeing how that translates and how we are able to use him this upcoming season in terms of hopefully getting him to a Kyle Pitts type of tight end where he's more of that positionless receiver at this point. Also got a Winston Wright Jr. who's kind of up in the air as well with his injury from the car accident last year. We're kind of figuring out what he is. He's going to be able to get kind of back from his injury. That would be completely massive for him going forward there because that is a guy that you really, really need in terms of skill set. Jared Verse, we already know how he is, first-round pick in some of the mock drafts that he had as well, but I don't think he got a clarified top 15 pick in terms of just, advice from some of the draft stocks that they were going to. So that's going to be something you're going to have to monitor there. Fabian Lovett, I think it's a guy that is going to be really good if he stays healthy, but the problem is he's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay durable. He probably won't play as many snaps as he would throughout the season just to try to keep him healthy. I think that could be something that you could really turn to for that. in terms of skill set wise. And then you're going over to the linebackers, Tatum Bethune, Kalen DeLoach. I think both of them are very, very talented linebackers, but will they translate over to the NFL level? That's something to kind of be seen there. I think they did a really good job sideline to sideline, but can they efficiently cover in space? I think they can, but we'll definitely see how it goes with that. Ventrell Cypress, the Virginia cornerback commit that we had, I think he can be a viable piece in terms of just his skill set in general. I think he's a very, very aggressive corner. He actually did very well last season, but the previous 2 seasons before that, he kind of showed that he was just kind of a quality starter, wasn't something really special, but his PFF grade really stood out in his 3rd season, having an 88.7 PFF grade. So it is something to kind of monitor with him. I think Renato Green can be something, but I wonder if it's either going to be at the safety position, where I think they possibly could move him this upcoming season, or staying at the cornerback position and kind of figuring out if it's going to be Jerry Jones, or if it's going to be him, or if it's going to be somebody else. You kind of have to figure out what's going on there. Akeem Dent's another guy who I think is very, very talented, but you saw with the foot injury that he had later in the bowl game, you're trying to figure out when he's going to be back, coming with everything going on there. But just going to be really interesting to see how some of these Florida State players and everything, as they kind of alternate to the NFL. I think if you had to pick your top guys, definitely going to have to be Jared Verse at that point. And then you're trying to figure out who is going to be your other guys to step up in terms of NFL potential. And I think there's kind of a difference between all those, because Jared Verse is a mighty talented player. I think you had a massive get to get him back for next season, but you also got some quality freshmen as well that are coming in. And I think they could make a difference for what Florida State needs, especially going into the future, to sustain this long-term success that they have. But I really appreciate everyone as they go through. Be sure to leave your playoff predictions, who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Also, be sure to like the video. Let's try to get this video up to 60 likes. Let's see if we can do that little small goal there. Subscribe to the channel. It is completely free, and I really appreciate all the love and the support. And as always, go Noles.